Peace be upon you. Oh, okay. Second time around. It's doing the same thing. It's fear of either acting or taking action. But you can only wait for so long for somebody to do it for you until you realize, even should they do it, that that's actually quite disempowering. And you will have to answer to yourself and heed the call from within that's pushing you in one direction or another. Okay, we got it. Intense emotion leads to presence, and however it may appear to anyone else, how it may look or be perceived by others, it's quite intense. There's some form of momentum or a presence that you're able to tap into. Initially may even feel as if it's overpowering you or it's rendering you quite unpredictable. But that's the whole point. You will find your balance as you advance. Either way, this is personal power again. Remember, do not wear black if you celebrate the New Year's today. Blue, red, yellow, green, anything but black, white. So I believe it's only fitting that I felt this call. Libras, what about Libras? Oh yeah, karma. There you are. This is the other aspect of you, the more terrifying one. You have to understand your very existence as a vessel, Venusian vessel for that. It renders you unforgettable, of consequence in people's lives, and not everybody can handle you in the same manner. I mean, you can barely handle yourself, right? It's very intense energy. Don't take it too personally. Only deal with those that can handle you, whatever that may mean. Okay, let's move. Grace in reverse. So we have fate, destiny. Transformation has occurred. Elevation in reverse. Union in reverse. Recognizing incompatibilities, inner or outer disharmony or lack of alignment. This can refer to inner outer masculine. Being in harmony or aligning when it comes to goals, aspirations, or potentials that you are called to attempt to reach, to embody, to conquer, which need to translate in action. You know, talk is cheap at this point unless it translates. It's going to be tested against reality, right? So when it comes to yourself, you need to kind of prove something to yourself at this point, right? Oh, sorry. Okay, I was going to do the wheel. We're going to look at the entire month. News in reverse. If you can focus on merely on the things that are relevant to you. And honors in reverse. And cut out all the things that do not do you any honor, do not bring about or allow you to expand, heal, etc. That includes the very things that you may have constantly attempted to use in order to find said healing, clarity, and You know, there are two types of people. There's always one in the middle, and that usually have arrived at spirituality, specifically tarot, for example. Never mind the ones at the other end. They're just about the money. It's what it is. There are exceptions to that, of course, but you will not miss them. Don't worry. They have integrity and so on. And usually you tend to not like them. Why? Because of sycophancy. Sycophancy and a tendency towards limerence and living vicariously to others, through others, which reveals a decision that's already been made at the subconscious level, for the very least, to have given up and rather live in the realm of potential without you having to act on it when you're called to action or called out for the lack thereof, or attempted to be stimulated or reminded that you can, this is not who you are and this is a fallen state. And usually you tend to hate people who do that. They shine light on your wounds or on what you perceive to be failures, and it's because you got to start that genuine dialogue and relationships within with your shadow self, right, or other aspects of yourself. So there are those who use it as an escape route and to have their, to seek for their validation and so on. It doesn't help them. In the long run, everybody knows it. It does not help. But hey, it's their time, it's their life. They've chosen to give up. This is how it looks for them. For some, it's gaming. For others, it's substances. For them, it's tarot, horoscope, astrology. It's down rabbit holes and end up, in the bottom of those rabbit holes. They will have to touch the bottom. Some will not get that chance anymore throughout the cycle. And then they can choose to come back up. And then that's when they turn into the other group that takes spirituality very seriously. They had the experiences that led them to do so, and are using it with the proper intention as the tool that it's intended to be, with seriousness, accountability, personal power, and exercise of free will. And you have to determine. If you're on the side of the majority, you're in trouble. If you're the one who will continue to explore and doesn't steer away from questioning, from exploration, from trying things, different things, it means you're on the path. It means you're literally not going to give up on yourself. So, and you're also very quick to determine when something works for you or it doesn't. So that means having made, having some form of a resolution or commitment for you to take your own responsibility, fate, and destiny in your own hands. Whatever tools you may use to achieve that, perfect. No explanations or apologies needed. But these are the kind of people that usually tend to apply the things that they learn. And again, they're very easy to discern and individuate because they have integrity, regardless of, we don't go about definitions of success or based on popularity, and because that's exactly what we steer away from. It's what got us in this trouble to begin with, whereas we've reached a point where we literally lie to ourselves, to one another, we play these roles they're not helping us, right? But then again, it takes courage to make that shift and that choice to be authentic, to be honest. And in most cases, it has to do with judgment of oneself because of having done it for so long, trying to fit in, please others, etc., having allowed yourself to be conditioned, to limit yourself, to betray yourself, to one time too many leads to you losing respect for yourself. So coming back around to authenticity, there's your shadow telling you, what are you on about all of a sudden, acting all honest and faithful, and that's the trial. If you cannot get past that and still aspire to embody those attributes and those virtues, and they do not properly translate into your actions, then maybe you are not ready. And then you just have to accept your current state and limitation and as it is, and make the most out of it anyway, because sooner or later you will be brought to whereas you will no longer feel as if you have any other choice but to be true to yourself. Usually that happens in our old age, or when we're already too tired, too sick to be able to entertain bullshit. When time becomes even more so because of trauma and other events, God forbid, we tend to reach that bottom, right? And again, it's going to be inevitable. But in the meanwhile, if you feel you're not strong enough, or you're not ready, or you're struggling with being honest, it's fine. That's fine too. You decide why you do the things you do and whether it's worth it or not. So I guess what I'm trying to say, if you acknowledge full-blown honesty with yourself, means being able to even at least acknowledge certain aspects and own them. So even in saying my desire is toxic, I see it's problematic, I see, and I'm kind of struggling with it, yet I'm not willing to let go of it. There's something in this, and I will pursue it. That means, again, personal power, willingness to be accountable, not putting it on anyone else. It's your choice to make, and your freedom to exercise, right? And as long as you're aware and conscious of why you do it, and you also understand that sometimes certain things only go away when you accept them for what they truly are, right? And lo and behold, ta-da, there they go. The moment you observe them and see them for what they are, they tend to kind of go away and slowly be substituted by new desires, by new needs, by new wishes, a new vision, and so on. So this is what this is telling you. Is this fall from grace, whereas you feel that you're literally fallen in the depths of hell, opposite to what you know to have been created. And so there is a level of self-awareness here, and you know that this is good. You had to touch that bottom in order for you to try and elevate. Then the ego will try and control how the rising or rebirth or elevation translates. They will project goals, targets, even strategies, and try to control the process all the way to the top. But I feel you are able, especially by March, you're able to see those kinds of influences and how they actually lead all of us ultimately to once again fall rather than rise, right? You are redefining love, success, things that you truly want to aspire towards, and you have to do it by exploration of all of your other desires, convictions. So you're able to process the unpleasant aspects, your darker attributes, and so on. You're not proud of them, but you're gonna have to learn to no longer be defined by them either. Okay, moving forward. The star, the men's star, a wish is coming true. Someone has achieved some level of connection here. Pleasure, passion, here's that fire. The unpleasant news is most likely for any of you. Again, there's no way for you to anticipate, or you shouldn't be able to know who's the important person in your life, who's going to impact you more than anyone else. What is this new self that you're exploring? So this is not all harm, not all good, bad news come to harm, right? This is kind of what this is telling you. This transformation implies, look at these cards. There's fate, and there we have grace reversed, raising or elevation in reverse because of lack of foundations, or your disconnect from said foundation. Whatever was built on these lies, deception, false beliefs, and it's bound to go, including especially relationships, or relationships in general, karmic ones as well, relatives, families. And grace in reverse is this very things that you weren't able to let go of, forgive about yourself or others. And the bad news is you being able to speak the truth leads to you also being able to take it. That is what's going to set you free. When it comes to how you're going to advance or where you're supposed to navigate, you're going blindfolded. You're going to have to trust your intuition now more than ever. Why? Because there are no signs or synchronicities for you per se to lead you. You're supposed to, at this point, you are bound to have to develop the ability to navigate from within. Blindfolded, literally. Okay? No one's gonna come give you that good news. No one's gonna come save you. No one's gonna show you the way. For those who feel, because remember, every land has its own spirit, and karmically, speaking of, many are going down. These are societies, cultures, empires, communities as well, right? And it's the parting of ways. If they no longer, you don't vibe with that culture, or it's this realization, or you never did, or trust that inner guidance, and yeah, consider going. Where? You're gonna have to be guided. For those who did not receive the Holy Spirit, they will sit amidst the chaos and not even realize that they're supposed to go. It's karmically, it's what they're gonna have to go through. Others may realize that by that time it's too late. There's nowhere to go. So understand the importance of the land that you live on. Connect with it. Either way, you have to do so, because you have to feel the Zeitgeist and how it translates both in the macro, but most importantly, where you currently are at. You have to become resourceful. You have to spot opportunities, but most importantly, you have to find tribe, people, build connections, right? So honors in reverse is the fall of empires, all the kings' energy, all the kings coming down. And it reveals to you something. No power past this point will be granted unto those who are not willing or able to take the responsibility that comes with it. Power is not just thrown around left and right. Now that we're coming out of Shaitan season here, whereas they got free roam and right, yeah, that's done with. That's done with. So this is the raising of the dead as well. You're gonna see a lot of phenomena. Be careful not to trust. Oh, Father, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So do not trust. Remember, the Prince of Air, right? Do not trust signs above in regards to angelic presences and signs and in the skies. Do not trust them. Do not trust anything that's proposed by the current system when it comes to how we're supposed to manifest or align with this new Zeitgeist in order to enter the golden age. They're going to propose measures, right? No, resist, say no. Do not take on that technology. Do not say resist, back to base. Do the opposite of what the system will try to push onto you. And remember, you always have the option to get out of there, because each will impose and has made their choices. The EU, for example, many countries in the EU have served a specific agenda. We know what the agenda is, right? It's always Zion, false Zion, trying to destroy Europe in order to prevent them from interfering over here. The Europe that did not align, right? Or at least did not support them as much as they would have wanted to be supported. So if they decided that they need to destroy this part of the world, they did that with what? With people, right? Freed that land, committed their sacrifices and so on, and pushed them onto here. And they're trying to, by the time these European leaders, the new ones came, there are influences, there's a spiritual warfare going on, and they're trying to tell them, what the fuck did you do? You played into the agenda. This is what's going on. Get them back. They need to take on their lands as that they're rightfully theirs, and they need to find justice and start rebuilding their own communities and life over there. Diversity cannot be sacrificed. There's a spirit to each land, right? So this whole plan that they had going on was intended to destroy not just this culture, but both of them at the same time. Have them destroy one another. So they're trying to push them back. Well, it's a bit late for that, isn't it? This is going to create so much chaos. They've kind of realized it, but it's way too late for them now. The damage is already kind of done, and many of them will have nothing to return to at this point. They should have, done this a lot sooner. So you see the importance of timing and land, location. So learn more about your own culture, your ancestry, if you're guided towards either embracing it, returning to 5 generations ago's land, or wherever you're called or you're guided, you gotta move and go, right? Not pushed out of fear, not out of mere scarcity, but from an inner knowing. So I'm not saying if there's lack of resources, move merely because you are seeking for resources. No, what I'm saying is if you feel that part of the land, spiritually speaking, is going to fall at the bottom of the wheel, understand the implications. Each of you will have different set of motivations, and understand those implications and make a decision. Will you able to, tough it out through it and understand what that means? If you have to build a tight-knit community, therefore you don't have the luxury of entertaining very, weird people and spirits and or lying to one another. No, it's gonna be, hands-on. Everybody's gonna have to pull their own weight, and even more so support anyone who is not able to do so. So that's what a community is. Are you willing to take that route? So once you determine that the place that you're currently in is gonna fall below, because again, it's the ebb and flow, right? Until we find that alignment. You have to make that decision. And I believe this is someone who is precisely in that land. The last emperor, the last king of the empire, and so on. The last pope. What we have now is buffoons, is the closing out, is those who embody specific ancient spirits, meant to merely maintain the illusion. The illusion. It's an illusion. The Pope is there's going to be no more queens, no more the old monarchs of the old world. It's done. It's over. It's the same empire, same people over and over and over and over again. And that's done with. So there is no good news, because we're going through both judgment, rapture, revelation, all at the same time unfolding. Timelines are merging here. So don't wait for signs. And most importantly, because they're going to play on that, do not trust the signs. Do not trust what they propose, because obviously they've made a mess. Even those that may not have realized what's going on, they were just merely there as part of a system. By the time they realize, they try to adjust the situation. What the fuck did we do? Well, it's a bit late for that, right? Whether that's UK, Germany, France, Sweden, the last shall be the first. You went ahead, full blown in that direction, not being reasonable about it, completely disregarding the reason on why should the people be stripped from their land. This is not organic, natural migration. This is forceful as a result of violence, abuse, and oppression. They've stolen their land, their cultures, then they have no reason for them to respect anyone else's. They're actual victims that turned into oppressors themselves. Because when you've got nothing left to lose, when you've lost your connection, ancestral connection with the land that was so ancient, so important for your culture, for the role that you occupy within the world, like an organ in a vessel, the moment you take a liver and you put it in the place of the heart, we have a problem. So all these things need to unfold organically. But since there was interference, violence, sacrifice, a lot of bloodshed, and that obviously went on to translate as the destruction of the nations, whereas they forcefully pushed them into. Don't think that these nations felt as if they had a choice, since they themselves accepted not to be fully autonomous in front of the beast that was ruling the world from the shadows, which we now see, at least to some capacity, what that beast actually is, right? And it has many heads, and it's literally controlling the world. So they didn't really have the freedom to say no. And I know the people feel that their leaders betrayed them. They really had not many options. Many did so in hopes that further down the line they will be able to kind of integrate, make amends somehow. Things will just stand corrected all on their own based on natural laws of restoration and correction. And they can only go so far until things will start to kind of take a new form. And yeah, that's not how it works. It was never meant to happen, because the very people that they're now trying to deport deserve their justice, their land, just as much as the lands that they now currently have, quote unquote, invaded. No, they haven't. No one had much choice here, because there was an oppressive force of darkness making all of these moves and decisions on the great table that is the world as we know it. So, moving forward, see the fall of authorities. See of the promised peace that is actually war. See of the long-awaited good news and hope, false hopes and false light, and that never came, because all lands are touched to some capacity. We're in this together. This is what this is telling you. And I'm not telling you go elsewhere because it's going to be better. They're going to have the different set of challenges over there. Even if they're at the top of the wheel, perhaps they're going to have the burden and the responsibility, the heavy responsibility of making sure that they themselves now don't repeat the mistakes of those who used to be in power prior. So that whether that's commercially, financially, they have the responsibility of setting down the foundations for the new world. And many will feel it. Thankfully, many have the integrity, because again, the power granted unto them, or the ability to do so, to influence, to impact, to correct the world, to build set foundations and fight the forces of darkness in order to bring about this. They already have the integrity. They've been passed through the funnel. And what is flabbergasting to me is that, for example, Libras, I kept trying to tell you, you are being prepared for something. You are not of no consequence. None of us is. This is not about better or worse. It's about the roles that you've been prepared for. Could not have allowed you to lack in integrity or truth. Okay? Then again, do you think all of the things invested in you were invested merely for the sake of it? God was sitting around and said, oh, I had some extra intellect. I have charisma. Yeah, there's no one else to put it, Lord. Everything's perfect. And no, we're just, if there's some extra, throw it into Libras, give it to Venus. And no. You have a calling, justice, truth. You cannot be conditioned by your physical senses, personal needs, animalistic desires. You are supposed to be shaped for something. Why do you think you're here now? So, not only you're not powerless, but you're called to take on your roles of responsibility, not as defined or power or by anyone else or the old world, or no. Whether that's toward a family member, whether that's toward the energy you channel into the world. When you're broken, you channel lack of sense of injustice. If you cultivate that within you, there's a sense of injustice within the collective. Loss of hope, indecision, confusion, tendency to lie, strategize, manipulate, lack of self-esteem, lack of faith. All of that will translate into the collective. Each of us has to have some measure of all of the archetypes, right? So when someone goes to look at their own sensation in regards to destiny, fate, karma, divine justice, and everyone can say that they've experienced, or at least to some capacity, they feel that there is no actual justice in the world. And when you look at justice herself, you see how messed up she actually is. And then you realize, oh, I see now. Then, for example, we look at egoism. Then we have to look at what embodies or represents the self. We look at the sun. We look at Leo. Blimey, ambitious as heck, trampling over bodies in the process, completely unconsiderate and unempathetic, convinced that they're doing good by others, but in reality consumed merely by personal desires. Somehow those desires that used to be meant to aspire towards the improvement of the world, that courage invested in them, and so on, have turned into just self-servient, outright ambition, materialism, and so on. Consumed most likely will turn into the lower passions, which is unhinged to sexual tendencies, transgression, addiction, mental illness, anger, inability to process emotion, and so on. Aggression, and so on. So, what divides heart and what connects hearts, right? Relationships are most important. You cannot force any of them, nor yourself to love or like someone or be what they need you to be, nor vice versa. So you got to drop that tendency over there. When it comes to waiting for that news, and if you're going to look for the signs, you're going to be fooled. The signs are within you. As for the acknowledgments, accolades, recognition, and there's no such thing. What there is a sensation of purpose unfolding from within. You're going to start realizing you are the sacred vessel. You are the blessing unto the world. You are someone's answered prayer. A means to an end. Divine, sacred emanation with a specific nature and purpose. You are incomparable, unique, and irrepeatable in this current form as you are. The moment you're willing to embrace that. You see, he has his eyes closed as well. Yeah, it's an inner knowing. Ascension, elevation, answered prayers. Sensation of, again, feeling as if you already know. Not necessarily rationally, you have an inner knowing of you having a reason for being here. Everything starts to make sense, and you're allowing yourself to be guided towards the fulfillment of said purpose. And then there's, as we call it, there's a new desire placed in the heart. When the man is ready and makes that space, they've given up all else they had to experience: humiliation, death, pain, separation, loneliness, failure. All of these dreams have had to die. False hopes, false light, toxic relationship with themselves, with their higher selves, guardian angel, misunderstanding of what they are, forgetfulness, and have been stuck in the lower realms for a while here. And here's that spark. Again, do you see community? The dancing around the fire, celebration usually. And here's resonance, alignment. Here's where fortune lies, in the communities or families or connections that you're able to make. It's the force that connects us all. Where each of us exists as they are in order to complete the beautiful tapestry of creation. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. There's rejoicing, opportunities to celebrate. There's a lot of, well, unhinged even to some extent. But do you see what I see here? Do you see the smoke in the background? This is not smoke from the fire. These are when we align our passions, we have a common goal or desire. There's a powerful spirit that connects us. It gives us that sovereignty, courage, and it binds and brings us together naturally so. Our will is divine will, do you see? But what we see here in the background, it's a smoke that doesn't stem from the fire. That's the deception. The horizon is blocked. You're not supposed to know where you need to go next, as in by reading the signs or external, hearing the news or trying to strategize or overthinking. And if you hold presence, you'll be safe no matter what happens around you. But this also tells us something else that's already happening, but people do not realize it. There's already been lots of technology used in order to create deception, maintain certain frequencies, but there are those who are completely unfazed by it. This also speaks of the spirits dancing or joining forces in order to assist and generate the force needed to manifest something else. This also speaks of the judgment from above, the cloudiness and confusion below, what's going on in the world, the destruction of the old empire. And these are the forces also that help us do that. The unseen helpers, and there will be the presence or the manifestation as the timelines collapse through the judgment through fire. There's the Libra, This is the bloodline of the house of David. David. This is the house of David, the lion we were just speaking about. Okay? So it's judgment. We know it's judgment. Christ consciousness and alignment, of course. Remember, you're not alone, whether physically or otherwise. Stay aligned with the divine vibration and frequency as it translates within you. Join forces. Allow yourself to be guided towards who are aligned with you in that sense. Understand the purpose of the destruction and see what it brings forward, how it restores, it purifies, it regenerates, and so on. And don't mind the distraction or counterfeit transformations. And sound is used, by the way. Sound. This is all about sound. It's how they've built the last at the last reset as well. This is technology that they've always had. They kept us in the dark about sound. You cannot realize or distinguish or discern or choose it wisely. You can work with vibration and frequency, but sound importantly. But before you do that, you need to be able to tap into that space of absolute silence. Your desires must be aligned with divine will. And you can only do so if you receive the Holy Spirit within. If you're looking for it outwardly, you're going to be deceived. Because remember who rules here. Your senses, your physical senses. The only thing that no one has access to is your center, your heart. Birth, there it is. The birth of a new chapter. Fertility, prosperity, nativity speaks of legacy, destiny, heritage, generations, right? Many will be called back to your original lands, even generations ago. There's a reason for that, because your blood has a specific code to it and a frequency that's called back right now to complete something over there. Spiritual families, families in general being formed. The masculine is ready for union, by the way. They're trying to manifest. I'm afraid the feminine is going to be very resistant. They need actual proof, and it's going to be the feminine is very distrustful. Ability to see false light and within, without, and intentions. Feel people. So telepathic or empathetic, if you want, communication is on. You just have to trust it. You'll be able to individuate and recognize enemies, etc., forces that work against you. Within, without, it doesn't matter. Don't be afraid. You have to leave either your land, your home, and you have to be able to expand and be moved when you're called to. No attachment, and you have to be willing to. Many will change homes, locations, and will be moved to some capacity, whether work-wise, whether by necessity. You're gonna have to redefine home. And again, for some, it's literally being led to things that many will not even realize. By the time they reach there, in some manner, they will start realizing, oh, I have connections to this land. Yes, previous versions of you in your past lifetimes, but usually there's to some capacity the blood can prove it as well. Accident, again, if you will feel forced, you either have to cross seas or out of survival needs, or that's gonna be your call. For some, it may be too late by the time you want to go. It may not no longer be possible. There will be blockages. By the way, they will take measures in trying to prevent this new, more organic, divinely guided kind of a repositioning. Because there was interference, they kept placing us in jobs that we didn't want to do, in identity we didn't have, in expectations, in perceptions, in lands, in worlds, in systems that had nothing to do with us. They were so unnatural to us, and we're still gonna have to process the trauma of that. And now basically things are standing corrected. Does that make sense? They're standing corrected. Divine intervention says, no, you belong there, you gotta go there, and you have to take it, for better or worse. If you have that call, For someone, again, by the time you will want to move, it may not be out of your own, spiritual ability to discern or receive the guidance, because many will resist it. Look, resistance. It may actually be too late. You may not make it. You're gonna be stuck somewhere that you no longer belong to or are able to. But even in that case, just steer away from these energies. So crime rates will go up as well. So you have to be very wise in navigating. Last but not least, at the bottom of the deck, it's love time. Of course it is. Baby making, true love, connections in the heart, connections made in our higher selves rather than. So recognition of soulmates, of honesty, of integrity, of the nature of people's heart. You will be able to read their faces, their minds, it's going to be very hard for evil to hide at this point. Does that make sense? So what can you do? Individuate the evil tendencies within you without you associating yourself with them. Observe with no judgment. Then it no longer has power over you. Understand that everyone, to some capacity, has been tainted, broken, hurt, humiliated, traumatized. All of us, to some capacity. See things for what they are. It's very important. That's when they no longer have power over you. And therefore you also be able to recognize all this bullshit that they're trying to project. But also understand when something is not working in your favor. It doesn't mean drop it altogether. Maybe you should approach it with a new attitude, or right, just do things differently. Don't get stuck in repetitive patterns. That works against you. And remember, your path is going to be uniquely yours. And many people actually know that. But then they go along trying to follow the crowd under the guises of community. We're stronger together. But even this has been corrupted. We're not stronger together if there's not a force that transcends or goes beyond our egos, identities, social status, race, creed, etc. Right? We're not going to be united in truth. There's nothing we can build if the spirit that connects a community is one of falsehood, of disempowerment, of just seeking for yet another dopamine hit, and the counterfeit community, counterfeit family, based on just mere egos and personal interests. And yeah, everybody may look happy on the surface, but are they? If you look closer, if you just observe the communities that you tend to navigate towards, you're going to start seeing the spirit that moves in that community. Then you have to determine, why am I in this community? So answer the call, even when it comes to whichever people you're supposed to work with no judgment or expectation. You may end up under a bridge with some beggars. You may end up harvesting potatoes somewhere in Ireland. Do you really want it? Do you want to find your spiritual family? You can go with the flocking fairies and flying pigs and goddesses and kings of flocking. They're just making their money. They don't care. They don't care. Do you know how they you know? It's simple. What's in it for them? Would they do it if there was nothing in it for them? Always ask yourself that. But most importantly, you should be able to, if you really aspire to walking in truth and receiving actual enlightenment, if you really want to fulfill your purpose, if you want to find your other half, you first have to find yourself. It means first and foremost, if you navigate towards the community, it's because there's some aspect of you that's trying to call out to you and see it as externalized rather than within. whether that triggers you, whether that is always something within you. So see people as rather mirrors or reflection that you see through the filter of your own limitations or challenges or experiences. Why do you do the things you do? Always ask yourself that, so you have that clear. And remember, you have the freedom to do absolutely anything you choose to. But you don't get away with not having to neither pay the consequences for it, pay the price for it, take what comes with it, own it, and at the end of it, achieve the wisdom that stems from it. Yes, those who transgress the most are also the ones that in one blink of an eye are the most enlightened. If that makes any sense. The road to heaven is through hell. So don't be too judgmental of yourself either. Love on the horizon. Beauty, there you are. Venus, remember what you are. How do you embody this? Well, how do they translate for you? Not on surface level, not aesthetics, not bullshit, not dust in people's eyes and smoke and mirrors, and no. Genuinely, energetically, how do you embody it? And don't force yourself to do so where there's no means for you to sincerely be able to do so. There will be situations where here's the enemy. In order to have this, you have to keep focus on this and what you really want to cultivate and what you're meant to be experiencing, living in. You have to have this. The snakes, you gotta spot them. If you didn't do the shadow work. Family, there's lots of prejudice and expectations when it comes to how family translates. Community, right? But also for the feminine, motherhood, nurturing, and it tends to be conditional, egoistic, with expectations. There's lots of bitterness and unwillingness because of depression, illness, the enemy within again. The removal of falsehood brings about change. That's it. False people, falsehood within you, false expectations, and so on. So, beauty and love. What's the price for it? Truth. No exceptions. Your own, however personal, own it, take it. It means courage. It means not being willing to sacrifice it for no one or nothing whatsoever. You have a sword and you're going to have to learn to use it. You've been taught how to use it. Usually it's stuck straight in your chest, in your back, take it out and use it. Now, that's how wisdom is conquered. Again, integrity at all and any costs. And wisdom, wise as serpents, Luciferian energy, light bringers. You have to know evil before you can actually integrate it and choose goodness. There's no other way. Anyone who claims sainthood, if they didn't conquer their own shadow, they can have no claim to genuine kindness or virtue whatsoever. Justice is beyond good and evil. She has to stand right there in the middle. She balances them out. She is the spirit that's supposed to harmonize opposites. When justice is unjust, this is what we get. Chaos, hell. There's no beauty, there's no justice. There's counterfeit versions of it that can no longer satisfy any of us. There are powerful desires here that they keep trying. It's almost as if they keep giving us fake food and say, oh yeah, you're hungry, there you have it. And we know that's not what we need. The hunger keeps growing stronger and stronger. And they love it. Because the lower our vibration, the more in fear, the more divided, the more hateful, the more egoist, the more consumed by lack, by this void, this emptiness, and the further from God and ourselves we are, the more and the better they can experience this realm through us. Remember? We are where heaven and hell meet. that sacred union. That's why we have free choice. So, heaven is not something you have in the absence of evil and hell. Heaven is found at the bottoms of the hell. It's light out of darkness. And the order that stems now out of chaos. But we've repeated this cycle way too many times. We kept getting hijacked. And remember, now we have forces to assist us. Justice does what? She tramples on snake. With what? With grace, with beauty, but also severity when necessary, according to the situation. She's not conditioned by anyone or anything other than divine inner guidance, Holy Spirit. Truth. And nothing but the truth. So until a Libra manages to do so, we will have no flocking beauty, love, marriages, harmony, justice, truth in the world. Does that make any sense? So if you want to participate to the world, live according to your nature at any degree, unapologetically so, you only answer to the Most High, aka Holy Spirit in your heart, aka the voice of your conscience in the mind. Death. It's time. I told you were karmic. The old world is gone. Individuate any desires that have that lingering kind of a tendency that corrupts your most beautiful dreams and aspirations and desire, and tell them to fuck off. They're old, they're dead. Their time has come and gone. Hey, great fight. You won that round. Now it's our time, right? So, do you see this? Life stems out of death. You yourself have a vessel because somebody else died. So when your shadow confronts you and says, what about me? With you. Why do you think Father would have created you and placed you here if he didn't also give you the ability to get absolutely anything you could ever need to be, to exist, to fulfill your purpose? You don't get to determine, though, for how long or how that is, because that's what the enemy plays on. So, the enemy did his part. Now it's for you to do yours. Life out of death. Because nothing is for nothing. Don't be too concerned about what you get. Understand that your sacrifice will be exactly what the future generations need for true life to arise. A different one. As above, so below. So, 13 is a 4. Authority energy, personal authority, sovereignty, foundations, homes, communities. We saw a lot to do with the destabilizing energy that you're going to navigate. Some will say, wow, I cannot deal with this. But if you're wise, always seek for opportunities and challenges. Seek for Father's guidance through it. And you see his hand, even in the most dire of news. What you will feel is this is telling us that I cannot wait. I have to be courageous now and trust Father, trust the process and myself, and go, right? Go out of inner knowing. And Father speaks telepathically if you listen. Don't trust the outside signs and make your own decisions. Don't be dragged by the crowds and never follow the crowds. Families and communities are not crowds. They are unique identities that are united by one single force, goal, etc. That's why cults work so well. We will have a rise in cults, by the way, cults specifically of death. And again, it's judgment. Release of attachment. For others, it's going to be like, yeah, let's ride the wave, baby. They're going to literally have a bonfire about it. There's also a lot of activity when it comes to the vessels that did get overtaken, the spirits that will, literally, this is spiritual warfare. They're doing heavy work. So we have to start ours. We fight with our own tools. And they can never stray from truth. So, the birth of the new world, here's the sun. The meek shall inherit the earth. Blessings. This is it. 777. May Father shine his face upon you. May he guide, keep, and protect you and your loved ones. May you be able or choose to see the purpose in you having a cross to carry and nature and responsibility to you. But do not ever think that you have no purpose, except you don't get to determine. No one does what that is. You don't discover your purpose. You live it. Whom shall I fear as I walk through the valley of the shadows? Whom shall I fear? The spiritual warfare has been ongoing for so long. If only people would also unite. Again, united by the Spirit, all balancing energies out, which they are. We have a lot of monks out there doing exactly this. Why do you think they're sitting out there praying? To balance energies out. Because vibration. Without them, we wouldn't have made it this far. So you see, it's the unseen that have actually offered us the most love, whether warranted or otherwise. They did it because it was their purpose to do so. No expectations, no accolades, no rewards. So whenever you feel you are stuck in that dichotomy, fearing punishment or only being moved by the promise of a reward, that's how we approach spirituality. Only if we get the feel good feelings about it, and that's what we go after, like addicts. Like that's how we approach God in prayer as well. Give me, give me, give me, like beggars. He did not make beggars. The devil keeps us in that state, in that how we perceive it down here. Remember, birthright, destiny, purpose. Have children. Adopt. Focus on the children. Main focus is always what? The children. Fertility rates are extremely down, but divine intervention pulls them back up. And he carries the sacred seed. Your partner is not someone you choose, nor do they actually per se choose their counterpart. They're brought together when they're supposed to. Their egos may get in the way depending on the spiritual degrees, but not at this point. It's also the season where the twins will be brought together. They may not like one another depending, again, how much conditioning and no one cares. They're gonna be able to recognize one another instantly. So for the masculine, they receive that call. They've embraced their purpose. For the feminine, they're struggling a lot. And there will be this very challenging season. The rise of the goddess. It's quite challenging, actually. Goes hand in hand with the dark forces at work. Remember, the feminine is darkness, negative polarity. She's also the waters, and so it's a call for the sisters to receive all of the help and support that they can, to accept their masculine, who's going to help them balance them out, and they're doing their part as warriors of light. You're going to have a different war. It's an energetical, spiritual one. The sacred feminine, Holy Spirit, Shekinah, needs to work through you. So at this point, you're either one or the other. I guess we could put it simply. You're either a high priestess or a witch. Or the Scarlet Lady. Whatever you are, own it. You're playing a part in this whole role, right? The wombs, the vessels. It seems that at this stage, once again, as usual, the feminine. Now that revelation has kind of come to some level, full circle. The dome has been shattered, realities merge, okay? The program is still running though. There's a lot of deception, so it's going to be very difficult to navigate. The feminine is going to be guided and receive her support. But if she insists on remaining still certain level of bitterness, or she wants her claim to power, She wants it really badly. And careful what you wish for. She will actually get it. How many will be able to yield that power? Or not many. And it's him that's gonna be sent out to make sure that she doesn't misuse or abuse her abilities. Now, he's also gonna protect and provide. Remember, there are a few that are supposed to be alone. But most of you out there, no, you're not. And you've always known it. But there's a requirement for you to step beyond egoistic interpretations of love based on what you feel you need from someone. How you need them to look, how you need them to be, how you need them to be sexually. You gotta stop it. You do not choose your partner. Get that through your head. You have one, and at specific times you meet them. Anyone else is a different kind of a connection. But when it speaks to we speak about your other half, if that's what you've always felt the calling for, know why. Because you have an important role to play. That's when the twins are brought together. So a lot is expected of you. You don't get away with lying. You don't get away with trampling over other people's needs. You don't get away with living merely for basic survival, living with sensation of scarcity. You don't get away with those things. A lot more is expected of you. Because a lot more has been invested in you. And you yourself have made a lot more progress on the wheel. That's why you didn't get what everybody else did. Every generation made their sacrifices. We keep wanting what others have, or what we were promised, or what we feel we should. And especially when it comes to who's supposed to work with us, and who's supposed to complete us, and who's supposed to be our best friend. And they should think in this way, and they should stop it. Release or free yourself from any kind of a definition so that they can step onto your timeline. You don't pursue them. They need to find you and pursue you. The feminine does not pursue. Period. Understand polarity, plus minus, right? You need to learn to receive. Your authority has to be rather more spiritual, as is the battle that you will carry. You are about nurture, protecting, birthing. That means ideas, concepts, energy, alchemizing, right? But also revelation, counsel, advice, education, principles, virtues, beauty, etc. Harmony. Through the feminine now, divine order, law, truth, and justice is being restored into the world. That's why there was such hard work under the guises of liberation to victimize the feminine, genuinely and supposedly, in order to have this liberation that now led them to be incompatible with their counterparts. Their egos get triggered. They cannot work with their counterparts. The mature and wise ones, they can. Any other feminine that feels as if they lost his train, no, you didn't. You had a different task to fulfill. You'd never needed a husband by this point. If you're already 60, please stop it. You are that mother archetype, right? The Empress usually also is mirrored or reflected by her wisdom. What do you do to contribute? Do you accept your condition? Are you still stuck in that need, that kind of egoism that tells you, if I didn't have this or that like everybody else, I'm a failure and there's nothing else I'm worth to the world? And stop it. Oh, you are precious, and I know the world doesn't tell you that. You are wisdom embodied, incarnate. So take on your roles. Everybody out there, embrace your destiny. There's a set of feminines that are supposed to unite. The masculine is called to, soon enough. We get it. This was a part of the process. But proof is in the pudding. You gotta, If you decide that you've individuated your feminine, go for it. Masculine has their own set of trials. Again, they've done their best to no longer be able to create that sacred union, the connection, That's where God is able to work through in the world. So the masculines, yes, are infused with divine authority when it comes to the building, construction of the world, right? And destruction of the old. They will challenge authority. They will know how to adapt, adjust, and they will be providers, protectors, and so on. They received it, yeah. They reconnected with Father. Men's star. Okay, so they're following their own star. The feminine is going to be infused with all this energetic energy, and so the world gets to know and explore what the feminine is truly all about. The problem is what it always was about. Again, power corrupts. Power corrupts. But hopefully the good ones will be balanced out by this masculine. So remember, we should rule together. And in the new world, there's not even no need to rule per se. There's just a natural order and a hierarchy. To each our own set of blessings and responsibilities, and that's what harmony is. There's no need to neither compete nor envy, nor, because now we understand that we're all going to get to experience everything. You will get to be an emperor, leader, a beggar, all of us, a rock, a frog, a snake, whatever. Prey, predator, all of it. Each of us has to know and experience all of it. So, stop feeling as if you're missing out on anything. There's nothing wrong about where you currently are at. You understand how now you got here. It's about explaining and understanding, comprehension. Not about pointing fingers, blaming, or no. We understand the dynamics so that we can avoid. We see things for what they are. We call them out for what they are. We acknowledge them so that we can make different choices, right? And move past them. So we've been emulating and rendered in the image of the fallen, right? Whereas we have this tendency of only doing things for personal gain. And that's the truth. That desire, that fire can be actually used for the benefit of the whole, not even someone specific. Because even then you may get biased, right? So doing things because they feel right to you, yeah, that takes courage, because you may be wrong. Oh yes, you will. All of us have been proven both right and wrong, and yeah, and all of us will stand corrected, healed, improved, restored, reborn, and so on. Again, the issue is we've been stuck here and constantly recycled, and it's getting old, and it's time we break out of it. And we have only one tool to do so, which we need to find in the depths of the hells, now that we're realizing it, right? And that's truth. Shalom.